Imagine you're on a flight. You're sitting comfortably, relaxing, and thinking of your destination. Suddenly, the plane hits severe turbulence, and you're thrown into the ceiling because you weren't wearing your seatbelt. Now the plane must make an emergency landing to get you and other passengers medical attention, all from one unexpected moment of turbulence. Flying is common on planes, and chances are high many of you have either been an airline passenger or will be in the future. To better understand how turbulence-related injuries can be prevented, I extensively researched reports on aviation safety, including data from government agencies. Passengers on commercial flights inconsistently wear their seatbelts, especially when the seatbelt sign is off, putting themselves and others at risk during turbulence. And the solution is to wear your seatbelt during the entire flight. First, the problem is that passengers are unaware of the risks they face when they sit unbuckled. This behavior is common since in 2024, a survey by YouGov found that 47% of passengers believe it's perfectly acceptable to unbuckle when the seatbelt sign isn't on. And this contradicts regulations from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, that requires seatbelts to be fastened during taxi, around takeoff and landing, and whenever the seatbelt sign is illuminated. This issue is serious, and according to an article about passengers ignoring safety rules, a flight attendant emphasizes that passengers will be detained by local authorities upon landing if you don't comply with seatbelt requirements. The issue isn't only that passengers unbuckle, but they do it during phases of flight like landing, where risk of unexpected turbulence and accidents are the highest. In fact, 80% of all aviation accidents occur during the landing phase. Data provided by the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, found that turbulence is the main cause for injuries while in the air, and the most common injury for passengers is to the lower extremities, and the second most common is to the spine. It's not just a crash that can cause an injury. All it takes is one quick jolt of the plane while not wearing a seatbelt. The National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke provides evidence that a spinal cord injury can cause paralysis, leaving someone unable to move. So why would you risk that over something as simple as wearing your seatbelt? Now that the problem is clear, what causes it? If there are regulations in place that require seatbelts to be fastened, the non-compliance must be from misconceptions about aviation safety. A 2019 study by Abad Urrahman and Yu Zukchun at Wright State University found that some passengers, especially men, have high confidence that they won't experience an issue in the flight, further reinforcing a belief that nothing will happen to them, which causes disregard to safety practices. The belief that seatbelt sign is optional is a dangerous misconception because turbulence often occurs unexpectedly, no matter how safe the flight feels. If you plan to fly, this directly affects you. Even if you have your seatbelt on, another person who isn't buckled in could still put you at risk if strong turbulence strikes and they're thrown into you. Now that I've explained why this happens, what's the solution? If it isn't already obvious, the solution is simple. Always keep your seatbelt fastened while aboard any flight. The solution works because consistent use of seatbelts keeps passengers secure during turbulence and prevents them from becoming in-cabin projectiles. The FAA emphasizes two key actions for passengers: keeping your seatbelt always fastened and paying attention to the safety briefing at the beginning of the flight. In support of this, the NTSB has concluded that wearing a seatbelt reduces risk of injury for all aircraft occupants during turbulence-related accidents. Together, these findings demonstrate that the chance of injury is reduced with proper and sustained seatbelt compliance. This is a practical solution, not only because it's a legal requirement during certain phases of flight, but also because it doesn't require any special training, costs nothing, and it's already available on every seat of the plane. By wearing your seatbelt, you're partaking in one of the simplest duties of basic passenger safety. It's an act of selflessness that doesn't require time and is the most effective solution in preventing serious injury for you and others. As I conclude my message, I'll admit I used to be the person that would disregard the seatbelt sign, underestimating its importance. But hopefully you'll understand the key takeaway at stake. Many passengers aboard flights will wear their seatbelts inconsistently, which puts everyone at risk. Simple rules form simple solutions. Wear your seatbelt the entire flight to keep everyone safe. And if you're unaware of how to strap it across your waist, watch a safety briefing at the beginning of the flight. I urge you to share the values of seatbelts to anyone who doesn't buckle up. Take this away as a final thought. On one flight I was on, I sat next to a pilot who kept his seatbelt fastened the entire time, from boarding to arrival. As a passenger in the industry, he modeled what safe behavior looks like. And that should tell us something. Always buckle up whenever you're seated on a plane, and never assume you'll be the exception to the consequences if you don't. Thank you.